The Australian Government Summer School for Teachers of Mathematics was conducted at the University of New England in January 2008. 200 teachers from across Australia came to hear high-profile presenters discuss contemporary issues in mathematics. Sue Ferguson, Senior Project Officer at the Curriculum Corporation, has been involved in the Learning Federation's Learning Objects project. Her presentation at the summer school was using learning objects to teach mathematics. So I was just wondering if you can tell us what the main themes were of your presentation.
Okay, well I guess in this day and age, digital content is really another tool that maths teachers have to teach mathematics to students at all ages. So the focus was really showing them what the Learning Federation has developed and to demonstrate and to discuss with the participants how they could use them in their classrooms.
Sue, can you tell us how this presentation would be of interest to teachers of contemporary mathematics?
Okay, well it really is a digital age. Our kids are what Mark Kresge calls digital natives, these students that we're teaching these days. And so we must incorporate their world into our teaching. That's not to say that we throw everything else out, but it is the digital world. So the use of tools like Excel and the internet are really important. And in addition, the Learning Federation has developed these interactive activities called learning objects that teachers can use in a variety of ways. So my presentation showed some of those learning objects, particularly the mathematics ones, obviously. And we talked as a group about how what was good about them, what was not good about them, the range of uses that they might take. For example, there's a learning object that looks at spinning, which was developed for quite young children. But in fact, several of the teachers suggested that maybe they could use them in the year 11 and 12 classes when they were discussing solids of revolution. So it's looking at the learning objects, working out what you could do with them and how you could best use them with your students to engage them in real mathematical understanding.
So are there any particular issues that you were hoping to address that the teachers might use back in their classroom?
Well, we looked at a variety of them. I guess the thing that I always stress when I present these materials is that it's what you do with them that's important. So, excuse me, so for example, Wishball, which was our most successful learning object, can be used in a really wide variety of ways. You use it as a game for kids. I often see kids playing with them in libraries at lunchtimes when I go to visit schools. You can use it as a demonstration tool to talk about what happens when you add and the place value changes. You can use it as a way of seeing what happens on a number line. So we spent lots of time on Wishball, which is one of the most successful, I guess. But then there are lots of others too. So we looked at one called Photo Hunt, which is a 3D visualisation learning object. Really hard to do in classrooms without the digital environment because you just simply, you can't sort of have a go and make a mistake and then fix it as easily. So another series called Random or Not, which looks at generating packets of tubes, and the student or the user takes on the position of a quality control engineer. So so a variety of learning objects, but then we spent a lot of time playing because there are nearly 500.
I was just going to ask how many objects there were, so there's a wide range.
Wide range, 500 in maths, nearly 3,000 in total across all of the learning areas now. So.
And are the objects set up in a way that the teachers with that sort of number can easily track to something which would be useful for a particular lesson that they were planning?
Yes, I mean, we're getting better at that, and teachers really, it is unfortunate, I guess, that they need to spend some time actually playing with the objects themselves. We have very good catalogues, interactive catalogues, where you can go in and get a little summary and then navigate to the learning object and see if it's what you really want, and then pull it out. And many teachers actually put them onto the internet, or not the internet, the intranet, so that you know, they can come back to them later on. And many states and territories are actually linking them into their curriculum, and that's progressively happening. So
So are there any sort of formal networks or informal networks setting up with teachers who are using the learning objects and are sort of sharing how they might actually incorporate that and embed it into their teaching?
Yeah, that's happening at the state and territory level. It's not happening nationally as yet, but we're hoping to set up groups that will happen. And hopefully out of the summer school there'll be, you know, groups of teachers who will talk about how they've used the learning objects and, you know, how they found them and what they would do differently next time. So, so we're hopeful of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in terms of using those resources that are in the learning objects, are there any other resources or sources that people might go to that would help them in terms of the way they apply it, or to get a better understanding of the use of these types of objects in their teaching?
Many of the states and territories have set up blogs or groups, or the Knowledge Bank in Victoria, for instance, annotates how things might be used. So there's a variety of ways. We work in a federated system, so it depends on what state and territory you're in. But I've noticed lots of discussion recently on you know, internet sites, say the AAMT site and things like that. So people are starting to discuss it, and you know, and they're not replacing anything else, they're just another thing that people can do.
Yes, I know. I visited the Learning Federation site and had a look at some of these back a few months ago, and although I'm not a teacher, I found them really interesting and can see, you know, how they could be very stimulating for children in the classroom. So I hope that the Learning Federation will see them taken up very rapidly and teachers using them. Yeah,
well, we do too, and that's why we gave everybody a full set, so that they can take them back to their schools, and sure, they can get them from their departmental repositories.
Yes.
But it's really good to have a set in your hand that you can play with.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Sue, for that information. Thank you.
Very much.